Ever get that feeling like someone's, kind of trying to steer you in a certain direction without you even realizing it? Like you're at the store and suddenly you have that game. You have that shiny new gadget, even though you walked in just for milk. Yeah, it's the sneaky world of subliminal influence that we're diving into today, all thanks to this book I snagged called Subliminal Psychology 101. Now, this book, it isn't about flashy hidden messages or anything like that. It's more about the subtle stuff, the everyday cues we often miss. Like how certain stores pump in the smell of cinnamon rolls to make you crave sweets, or how companies use those sharp lines in their logos to project an image of authority and power. It's all about tapping into our subconscious mind. That part of us is always running in the background, making decisions without us even knowing. The thing is, this subliminal stuff, it's not always bad, right? In fact, the book argues it can be used for good, too.
Yeah.
Like, remember that time I was trying to convince my friend to finally try that new Thai place? And I just happened to be wearing a shirt with their logo on it that day. Coincidence, maybe, maybe not. But hey, he loved the food, so I'm calling it a win. But let's get serious for a second. This book dives into how subliminal psychology plays out in different parts of our lives. Take work, for example. We all know about power postures, right? Sitting up straight, taking up space, all that jazz. But this book takes it a step further. It talks about the chair trick, where subtly positioning yourself higher than the other person can make you seem more dominant. It's like you're literally looking down on them, which can subconsciously trigger feelings of inferiority. Sneaky brute, right? And then there's this whole idea of wasting people's time as a power move. Okay, now I'm not saying you should go around being deliberately rude or anything, but the book suggests that subtly controlling the pace of interactions can send a message of, control. Like imagine you're in a meeting and you just casually keep everyone waiting a few extra minutes. It might seem like a small thing, but it can subliminally reinforce the idea that your time is more valuable than theirs. But here's a thought, right? What if we flip the script and use this time-wasting tactic for good? Like instead of making someone wait anxiously,
What if we use those extra few minutes to create a more relaxed and welcoming atmosphere? Maybe offer them a drink, engage in some friendly small talk. It's like you're still subtly asserting your control over the situation, but in a way that's actually beneficial to everyone involved. And speaking of relationships, the book has some interesting insights there too. One thing that really struck me was this idea of using movement and music to de-escalate conflicts. It's like instead of matching your partner's angry energy with your own, you can try to shift the mood by putting on some calming music or engaging in some gentle physical activity. It might sound a little out there, but think about it. Someone's yelling at you and you just start like randomly doing yoga poses. It's bound to break the tension, right? But the book doesn't shy away from the darker side of subliminal influence either, like how it can be used in competition to gain an edge, shall we say. Now, I'm not going to go into any unethical tactics here, but let's just say that understanding how subliminal cues can affect someone's confidence or focus could be valuable in certain situations. But let's move on to something a little less intense. The book has a whole section on parenting, and it's full of, those aha moments that make you rethink everything you thought you knew about raising kids, like the importance of routine. We all know routines are good for kids, right? But this book takes it to a whole new level. It argues that predictable routines can actually help kids feel safer and more in control, which can lead to fewer tantrums and meltdowns. It's like you're creating a sense of order in their world, which helps them regulate their emotions and be more agreeable little humans. But here's where it gets really interesting. The book suggests that we can use the same principle of routine to subtly influence our kids' behavior. Like let's say your kid is refusing to do their chores. Instead of engaging in a power struggle, you can try simply handing them cleaning supplies and walking away. It's like you're not forcing them to do anything, but you're creating an expectation, a routine that eventually they'll just fall into. And then there's this whole concept of using rewards to encourage good behavior. But instead of just giving them a treat or a toy, the book suggests associating those rewards
with specific stimuli. Like, let's say your kid loves a certain song. You can play that song every time they clean their room, and eventually they'll start to associate the positive feeling of the song with the act of cleaning. It's like you're hacking their brains to make them actually enjoy doing chores. But let's be real, one of the biggest challenges for parents is dealing with picky eaters. I mean, I've lost count of how many times I've tried to sneak vegetables into my kids' food, but this book offers some surprisingly simple yet effective subliminal tactics for dealing with this, like involving kids in the cooking process. When they help prepare the food, they're more likely to try it right. It's like they have a sense of ownership over the meal, so it's less intimidating. And then there's the classic trick of, cutting food into fun shapes. I know it sounds silly, but it actually works. When food looks more appealing, kids are more likely to eat it. It's all about making healthy eating more fun and less of a chore. But sometimes you got to get a little creative. Like, let's say your kid is obsessed with pizza. Well, next time you're making a salad, just call it pizza salad. And arrange the toppings in a pizza-like shape. They might not even notice the difference. And they'll be getting all those healthy nutrients without even realizing it. It's like subliminal nutrition. But you know enough about parenting for now. Let's move on to something a little more. Let's talk about seduction. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a dating advice podcast or anything, but the book does delve into how subliminal cues could be used to, spark attraction. And it's not all about cheesy pickup lines or flashing your pearly whites. It's actually much more subtle than that, like the importance of physical closeness. Now, I'm not saying you should go around invading people's personal space. That's creepy. But if you're interested in someone, try subtly moving a little closer to them during a conversation. Maybe lean in slightly when they're talking, or gently touch their arm to emphasize a point. And then there's the whole thing about eye contact. We all know it's important, right? But the book suggests that holding someone's gaze for a few seconds longer than usual can create a sense of intimacy and connection. And then there's this little secret weapon: dilated pupils. Now, you can't exactly control your pupil size, but dilated pupils are actually a sign of attraction. So if you notice someone's pupils getting bigger when they're looking at you, it's a good sign that they're, feeling the vibe. And guess what? Wearing red can actually help too. Studies have shown that both men and women find red to be a sexually stimulating color. So if you want to turn up the heat, try incorporating a little red into your outfit. It could be a red dress, a red tie, or even just a touch of red lipstick. And finally, let's not forget the power of touch. Now, I'm not talking about anything inappropriate here. Just subtle, fleeting touches that create a sense of, connection. Gently brush their hand when you're reaching for something, or lightly touch their back as you're walking past. These small gestures can have a big impact, sending those subconscious signals of warmth and intimacy. Okay, so we've been talking about all this subliminal influence stuff, and it's kind of like realizing there's this whole hidden world operating beneath the surface radar. Makes you wonder how much of what we do, what we think is really our own choice, and how much is being, nudged in a certain direction by these subtle cues that we barely even register. This book, Subliminal Psychology 101, it really gets you thinking about the power of the subconscious. Like the other day, I was at the park with my kids, and this other kid was having a total meltdown. His mom was trying to reason with him, but it wasn't working. Then she did something interesting. She started humming this little tune. And you know what? The kid gradually calmed down. It was like magic. Later, I asked her about it, and she said it was a song that they always listened to before nap time. So even though the kid wasn't consciously aware of it, the song triggered this sense of calm and relaxation. It's like his subconscious mind took over and just chilled him out. And it made me realize this subliminal stuff, it's not just about advertising or manipulation. It's about how we can use these subtle cues to create positive change in our own lives and the lives of those around us. Like, what if instead of yelling at our kids to clean their rooms, we played their favorite upbeat song? Or what if we use those calming scents like lavender to create a more peaceful atmosphere at home? It's like we're setting the stage for our subconscious minds to thrive, But let's not forget about the potential downsides. of subliminal influence. The book talks about how it can be used to exploit our vulnerabilities, to play on our fears and insecurities. It's like, imagine you're watching a political ad and they keep showing these images of crime and violence while they're talking about their opponent. Even if you don't consciously register those images, they can trigger a sense of fear and anxiety, which can then be associated with the opponent, making you less likely to vote for them.
Sneaky, right.
So how do we protect ourselves
Yeah.
from these kinds of subliminal attacks? Well, the book emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. It's like the more we understand about how our minds work, the better equipped we are to spot those subtle manipulations and, resist them. One thing that really resonated with me was this idea of paying attention to how others make us feel. Like if someone is constantly putting us down or making us feel insecure, that's a red flag. It doesn't matter how charming or charismatic they seem on the surface. Their subliminal messages are toxic. And we need to distance ourselves. It's like our subconscious minds are picking up on those negative vibes, even if we're not consciously aware of them. And it's not just about other people, right? We need to be mindful of our own self-talk too. If we're constantly criticizing ourselves, focusing on our flaws, telling ourselves we're not good enough, guess what? Our subconscious minds are listening and they're going to start believing it. It's like we're programming ourselves for failure. So how do we flip the script and start programming ourselves for success? Well, the book talks about the power of positive affirmations. It's like instead of saying, I'm so stupid, I'll never figure this out, we can try saying, okay, I'm having a little trouble right now, but I'm smart and I'm capable and I'm going to figure this out. It might sound cheesy, but trust me, those positive words can have a profound impact on our subconscious minds. It's like we're planting these seeds of confidence and self-belief. And over time, those seeds will grow and blossom. But sometimes positive affirmations aren't enough. Sometimes we need to take a more proactive approach to reprogramming our subconscious minds. And that's where self-hypnosis comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hypnosis, isn't that some kind of mind control thing? But trust me, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's actually a very natural state of deep relaxation and focused attention. And the cool thing is, we can actually use self-hypnosis to access our subconscious minds and, plant those positive suggestions. The book provides some simple steps for self-hypnosis, like finding a quiet place, focusing on our breath, and repeating certain affirmations. It's like we're guiding our minds into a state of heightened suggestibility, where those positive messages can really sink in. And the thing is, self-hypnosis can be used for a wide range of things, from breaking bad habits, to boosting our confidence, to improving our sleep. It's like we're unlocking the hidden potential of our minds. But self-improvement isn't just about changing our thoughts and behaviors. It's also about changing our environment. The book talks about how we can use subliminal cues in our surroundings to create a more positive and supportive atmosphere. Like imagine you're trying to lose weight. You can put up motivational posters in your kitchen. Surround yourself with healthy snacks. And even play upbeat music while you exercise. It's like you're creating a subliminal environment that supports your goals. And it works the other way too, right? If we're constantly surrounded by negativity, stress, and chaos, it's going to be much harder to achieve our goals. So it's important to be mindful of the environments we create for ourselves, both physically and mentally. But sometimes the most powerful subliminal messages come from within. The book talks about the importance of listening to our intuition, that gut feeling that tells us what's right and what's wrong. It's like our subconscious minds are constantly picking up on cues that our conscious minds might miss. And they're sending us signals through our intuition. The problem is we often ignore those signals or dismiss them as irrational. But what if we started paying more attention to our intuition? What if we trusted our gut feelings more? The book suggests that by honing our intuition, we can make better decisions, avoid negative situations, and live more fulfilling lives. It's like we're tapping into this hidden source of wisdom that's always available to us. But developing our intuition takes practice. It's like we need to learn to quiet our minds, to listen to those subtle whispers from within. And it's not always easy. especially in our noisy, chaotic world. But the book offers some helpful tips for developing our intuition, like meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature. It's like we're creating space for our intuition to emerge. And you know what? Sometimes our intuition sends us messages through our dreams. The book has a whole chapter on dream analysis. And it's fascinating stuff. It's like our dreams are a window into our subconscious minds, and they can reveal hidden desires, fears, and even solutions to problems that have been stumping us. The trick is to remember our dreams and, interpret them correctly. The book provides some helpful techniques for dream recall, like keeping a dream journal by our bed and jotting down our dreams as soon as we wake up. And it also offers some insights into dream symbolism, like the recurring dream of being chased, which often represents feeling overwhelmed or out of control in our waking lives. It's like our subconscious minds are trying to tell us something, and it's up to us to decode the message. All right. So we've been on this deep dive, into subliminal psychology, right? And it's really gotten me thinking about how we can use this knowledge, not just to protect ourselves from, manipulation, but to actually level up our lives. I mean, think about it. If these subtle cues can influence our behavior without us even realizing it, imagine what we could achieve if we consciously harness that power. It's like we could reprogram our minds for success, happiness, whatever we want. One thing this book, Subliminal Psychology 101, really emphasizes is the power of self-hypnosis. Now, I know hypnosis sounds kind of out there, right? Like something from a cheesy movie. But the more I read about it, the more I realize it's actually a very natural state of mind. We all experience it every day. Think about those times when you're so engrossed in a book or a movie that you completely lose track of time, or when you're driving somewhere familiar and you suddenly realize you've arrived without even, consciously remembering the journey. Those are examples of hypnotic states. It's like our conscious minds take a back seat and our subconscious minds take the wheel. And the cool thing is, we can actually induce this hypnotic state ourselves through self-hypnosis. It's like we can train our minds to enter this state of, heightened suggestibility, where we're more open to positive affirmations and suggestions. The book gives some really simple steps for doing this, like finding a quiet place, getting comfortable, focusing on your breath, and repeating certain affirmations. It's like you're planting seeds. And your subconscious mind, telling it what you want to achieve, what kind of person you want to become. And the thing is, self-hypnosis can be used for so many things. Breaking bad habits, boosting your confidence, improving your sleep, even managing pain. I mean, I was skeptical at first, but honestly, the more I read about it, the more I'm convinced that it's a powerful tool for, personal growth and transformation. The self-improvement isn't just about these fancy techniques like self-hypnosis or nature. It's also about the small everyday choices we make, the thoughts we allow ourselves to dwell on, the environments we create for ourselves. Like one thing the book talks about is the importance of being mindful of our self-talk. That constant stream of thoughts and commentary that's always running through our heads. Well, it turns out that those thoughts have a huge impact on our motivation, even our success, if we're constantly putting ourselves down, focusing on our flaws, telling ourselves we're not good enough. Guess what? Our subconscious minds are listening, and they're going to start believing it. It's like we're programming ourselves for negativity and failure. But the good news is we can reprogram our minds for positivity and success. It takes effort, sure, but it's totally possible. Start by becoming more aware of your self-talk. Notice the words you use, the tone you take with yourself. Are you being kind and encouraging, or are you being harsh and judgmental? Once you're aware of those self-talk patterns, you can start to shift them. When you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, try to reframe them in a more positive light. Like instead of saying, I'm so stupid, I'll never figure this out, try saying, okay, I'm having a little trouble right now. But I'm smart. I'm capable. And I'm going to figure this out. It might feel a little cheesy at first, but trust me. Over time, those positive affirmations start to sink in. And they can really change your whole outlook. It's like you're slowly but surely rewiring your brain for optimism and resilience. But, sometimes positive self-talk isn't enough. Sometimes we need to take a more assertive approach to setting boundaries and protecting ourselves from negative influences. And that's where this idea from the book comes in. It's okay to be mean. Now, before you go around being a jerk to everyone, let me explain. Being mean in this context doesn't mean being cruel or aggressive. It's about setting healthy boundaries, saying no when you need to, and standing up for yourself, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Think about it. How often do you say yes to things you don't really want to do, just to avoid conflict or please others? Or how often do you let people treat you poorly because you're afraid to speak up? Being mean in this sense is about having the courage to prioritize your own well-being, to protect your time and energy, and to demand the respect you deserve. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to let others take advantage of you. And you know what? Sometimes being a little mean can actually strengthen your relationships in the long run. Because when you set clear boundaries, people know where they stand with you, and they respect you more for it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of subliminal psychology, I want to leave you with this final thought. Your subconscious mind is a powerful force that's constantly shaping your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. But the good news is you're not just a passive recipient of these subliminal messages. You have the power to choose which messages you let in, which thoughts you dwell on, and which behaviors you reinforce by becoming more aware of the subtle influences at play, both from within and from the outside world. You can harness the power of your subconscious mind and create a life that's truly aligned with your values and aspirations. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. The journey of self-discovery is never ending. And the more you learn about yourself, the more empowered you become to create the life you want.